Welcome to the modding video for F.E.A.R 1. Get my notes open up. I got my 3 folders for the base game, Extraction Point, and Perseus Mandate down here. We'll bring up the first one. In this video, we'll be setting up mods for F.E.A.R 1 and its 2 DLCs. Any links that are covered in this video will be in the description below. I wanted to mention too, these 3 files right here. They are auto-generated when you use that creative assembly program in the Config and Tech video to fix the EAX problems. I just failed to mention them. And, excuse me, these 3 files right here will be utilizing, we've talked about everything else. These 3 files here we'll be utilizing in the mods. Okay, so the first thing is the next part of this additional EAX fix. I'll put the link in the description for this. This is actually referencing Extraction Point, and it is this file right there. This is an Extraction Point specific file. The initial EAX fix shown in the Config and Tech video is still required, so please make sure you do that first. When using the hardware sound mode EAX options, some sounds or dialogue may not play in the game unless you use this fix on top of the first part. Put this file into the install folder for Extraction Point. So in here with your FEARXP.exe is where this goes. Arch.00 EAX fix is what you'll get from this file. So yeah, make sure you do the first part first, and then you'll do this part, and then we'll finally get to the conclusion on this here a little further down, because I say please see default.arc.cfg below to finalize setting up this mod, and that's this file. But I want to discuss the other mods first, because all the mods in this game, or not in the game, but that I'm going to use have to have this modified as well, so I want to finish off with that. Okay, so the next thing is a flashlight mod. I'll put the link in the description. This mod works in F.E.A.R 1 base game and the 2 DLCs. You will have different files depending on which game you are modding. It has always driven me crazy in this game and others to have a flashlight on a timer. Like your player has to wind it up or shake it like it's a shake weight.
You just shake it, back and forth. There's no motor, no batteries, and you get the results you want.
This mod makes it so your flashlight has unlimited use, just on and off. That's it. The mod comes in a few variations. The basic version, which just affects the flashlight, meaning just the on and off state and it having unlimited use. The other options you'll get are called extra versions. This version has the same effect on the flashlight, but it adds the ability to carry 5 weapons instead of just the default 3, and also increases ammo counts a little bit, as well as get that extra as out, as well as a as well as a few other tweaks you can read about on the mods page. Nothing that is going to make the game much more easier than it already is. I decided to use the extra version, but if it's your first time playing F.E.A.R 1 or the expansions, you may want to use the basic version. So pick your version and put it into the game's install folder that you want to mod. And that file is going to be this one right here. And they're all going to be named something different. So they have to be different. So this one will be Infinite Flashlight, XP for Extraction Point, extra.arc.00. I think it will say basic if you just get the version that just modifies the flashlight being unlimited. But I am using the extra version. So if you're an expert at F.E.A.R, or you're more knowledgeable than even I am about this game, you'll notice that ammo count pickups and things like that, reflex boosters and all that stuff are going to be a little tweaked. But the main cool thing about it is instead of only being able to carry 3 guns, you can carry 5. Like I don't remember how many weapons there are in the game, 10 maybe. There's a bunch of weapons, but you can only carry 3 at a time. And so what happens is if you come up across a new weapon you want, you have to throw one of them down or discard it, and it just, goes out into the game world. You can pick it back up again. It's not like it despawns or anything right away, or at all. But you can only have 3 at any one time. So this one lets you have 5, which is just more feasible, especially for the type of game it is and the amount of guns that you can get. So that's how I'm justifying it. Is it cheating? Hell yes, it's cheating, because it's going to give me more health quicker in different ways. It's going to give me more ammo quicker in different ways, but I really don't care. You can play the base way if you want, and there's no shame in it whatsoever. I won't shame you for playing this game on normal with no mods, or mods that don't affect ammo counts and stuff. You're not going to hear anything negative about me saying nothing about that. But I've played this game so many times, and I'm super familiar with it anyway. It's not that I'm not going to die or not take a hit or something in the game. I'm going to die, I'm sure, but I'm pretty decent at this game. I'm not horrible at it. So, as well with this one, please see the default.arc CFG file below to finalize setting up this mod. We have one more mod here, and that is going to utilize this file. You are going to see other files in all 3 of your games that end in ARCH, archive, or arch 00. And those are supposed to be there. Those are the ones that make the game work and function and do everything and have everything that it has. Inside of those is where the textures and the cutscenes and the effects and the animations are stored. They're in these files. These mods are utilizing the same file structure. So I just have all those other ones hidden to not be a distraction in these videos that we're doing here, for you and for me, so I'm not distracted by what I'm trying to click on or open and show you an example of. But you'll have these additional ones in there with it, and they'll all be properly named, so they're not going to overwrite anything that's in there. They're all uniquely named. So the next thing and the last thing really to cover here, well, the last main thing, is the subtitles. I had you set the HUD text large in the config and tech video in the game options. The problem with this game is when you use these higher resolutions that the game says, that doesn't really agree with you using, when you set them, that it's not optimized for them. It's because the user interface elements that represent your weapons and ammo count and all that stuff, and even the text, does not scale with the higher resolutions. It's like a 1-to-1 scaling, so everything will look sharp at that small graphical and text viewing range. It'll look sharp, but it's too small to see the clarity in what you need to see. And it doesn't scale, so when you make the resolution show more, it doesn't make that stuff scale up with it. So this subtitle mod does make the subtitles scale up high enough that they're actually readable, but nothing I am aware of actually affects the graphical user interface, the GUI of the game itself, for where it shows your ammo and health and all that. Nothing I know that you can get it to work in 1920 by 1080 or 4K and it scale those up larger, so you're just going to have to deal with those being as tiny as they are. But this will fix the subtitles. So this mod works in F.E.A.R 1 and the 2 DLCs. F.E.A.R 1 and Extraction Point use the same file with the same name. So both, I don't have to be in here anymore. Can go back to the base game. So they both use one that's called F.E.A.R. underscore 1920.arc00. But it needs to be installed twice. I think even where the link to get this, I don't even think he indicates on there correctly. I think somebody does correct that in the comments. They say that you can't just install the one for the base game and it work on extraction, and you can't, because extraction has its own ARC files that it's looking for, or it has its own default ARC file that tells it what to look for. So let me make a verification here. Okay, I thought I was calling it arc.cfg, but it is arc.cfg. There's no period after that. That is relevant. So yeah, be aware of that. For F.E.A.R. 1 and 2, F.E.A.R. 1 and 2, F.E.A.R. 1 and Extraction Point, they both use the same subtitle file, but when you look at Perseus Mandate, that file is F.E.A.R.L underscore XP2 underscore. So it's named differently. The game does not scale. I guess I wrote it here again. I always get ahead of myself. The game does not scale the subtitles or the GUI of the game when playing the game at higher resolutions. This mod will scale the subtitles and other written messages on the screen. It doesn't scale things like your health, armor, flashlight bar, or the reflex meter graphics. The file for the mod goes into your install folder for F.E.A.R. 1 and the 2 DLCs. Please see the default .arc.cfg below to finalize setting up this mod. So now we're going to finish up with the EAX stuff for Extraction Point. And we're going to finish up with the subtitles and the flashlight mod by messing with this file. This file is already in the F.E.A.R. 1 and the 2 DLCs install folders by default. You will need to modify all 3 files separately for each game. If it is used to tell the game the resources files to load when you play, some of these being mod files. Since the previously mentioned mods, additional EAX mod, flashlight mod, and subtitles mod, use a file type called .arc00. They have to be loaded into the default .arc.cfg file. Otherwise they won't work. The game won't see them. The default .arc.cfg file is a file that can be opened in Notepad in Windows. Just try to open it and pick Notepad as the program to view it with. We'll take a look at that now, and I will show you what you need to add to this file in order to make the 3 above mods load into the game when you play. So let's look at that here. So now we're looking at the base game first. We're going to open that file. I've already associated it with Notepad over here, so it's going to open. Oh, well, it wasn't that one. It's the OG Notepad. Let me go ahead and do that. Open with Notepad++, always use this app. And then now it's going to open in a new tab already over here. And I didn't want to do this one first. I wanted to do the base game. This is the base game. I guess that was correct. Yeah? Okay. Back to this again. So open. Okay, there's just more in there than I was expecting, because they're all hidden over here for me. These are all the ones that you're going to see in your directory that I've hidden. Not to be sneaky, but just to avoid any confusion and distractions when looking at the files over here. So there's less to see over here. So this is what you need to do for just F.E.A.R, the base game, if you're using these mods. And you basically put the title of the ARC file that you want to be loaded just as it is written in the main folder in here, and you need to put it at the very bottom. So yours will have all of this, or should have all of that. Arcs, some arcs here. Let's see, there's the subtitle, or where the subtitles are. A may be where animations are. E could be effects. I don't know what L would stand for. It's not D for dialogue or anything. Lines of something. I don't know. And then you start getting into 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, representing probably levels and areas and maps. So the ones you're going to add in here manually are these two. F.E.A.R. _1920.arc00. That represents the subtitles. I do believe, now that I'm thinking about it, when you get that subtitle mod, I think there might be a 4K version in there. But since I'm using 1920 resolution, I picked the 1921. If there is a 4K one in there, it'll probably say F.E.A.R. _4K.arc00. So load this in here, and I just put that one first. And then this one represents the flashlight mod, which will either say extra or basic, depending on which one you're using. And then you are good. You just have to save this file. When it's open like this, it's just treat it like it's a normal notepad document. You know, it's just text. It's just it's a CFG file with the ARC extension in the front of it. But some of these, you know, INIs and CFGs, when you open them up, it's just garbage language or just mumbo jumbo, symbols and stuff that you can't read. You might make some of it out, but most of it's garbage language. And what it is basically, it's just encrypted. It's encrypted so that you can't decipher it easily. Or sometimes stuff is in what they call hexadecimal codes and stuff like that. But this isn't just normal stuff, so this is how you fix this. And this will give you better subtitles in the Infinite Flashlight in the default game. And we will look at each one of these because there is variation. So now we'll look at the extraction point folder. And this is the file that you will use for that, as well as the flashlight file. So let's open that file, the ARC CFG for extraction point. So this one's going to have different stuff listed. Since this one is tied into the base game, it's got this section up here, original F.E.A.R. files. It's pulling these from the base game folder of ARC files because it utilizes a lot of probably the assets like the tables and chairs and different things like that, textures from the original game for extraction point, because extraction point does not have a lot of new stuff that it adds. But what it does add that is new, it's put it in its own category down here of F.E.A.R. extraction point archives. So these are special, starting here, the 4 archives that basically add anything to the game that's new for extraction point, which would be new dialogue, new graphics, things like that, new levels, the maps. And then this underneath it here is the same file we use for better subtitles in the base F.E.A.R. game. So put the same thing in here, same thing is in your folder and same thing written. This one is the fix for the specific EAX additional fix for extraction point. And so that's what that references. That's this here. And then this is the Infinite Flashlight mod for extraction point. And you will notice that it is different because it says, if you look at the original, it just says Infinite Flashlight Extra. But when you look at the extraction point, it says Infinite Flashlight XP Extra. So you have to make sure that's in there and that you have the right mod in here, because this one is the one specifically for extraction point. If you used the one from the base game, it would not work, or it would not work completely. It would probably not work. And then game is something that's already here. The way it will look when you first open this up, let's see, copy, did it do that? Okay, that was weird. Try to revert. It didn't copy. That sucks. Let me close out. It looks like it might have saved though. Let me reopen it. I think we're okay. Copy. Okay, now it's okay. Oh, it's because I have this file locked. We'll get to that. That's why it didn't work. But what you'll have initially when you come into this file is you'll have all these, you'll have 4 archives for the extraction point, but you'll also have the word game written. It should be underneath here, underneath this one. Underneath this line right here, it should say game. And I don't know why that's necessary, but I left it there and I think you're supposed to. The description for the mods that provide these here, they talk about it and say put it above it. So that's what I did. I think at one point I had stuff underneath it and it still worked, so I don't know if that actually matters, but I'm not going to tell you to erase it because it's already there by default. It's not written here in the base game, if you noticed. When you look at F.E.A.R, it just ends here. There's no game written, but Extraction Point and Perseus Mandate both have game at the end. So put the mods here, this being the subtitle, the EAX fix for Extraction Point, and then the Infinite Flashlight for Extraction Point, and then put game underneath, and that's it. Save. You're done. And then we're going to look at Perseus Mandate. Same thing. This one you're going to have a unique subtitle mod and a unique flashlight mod. And you need to edit this file as well. So open it. So this game, it doesn't utilize, as you can see, really any of the original content unless it's been put into these Perseus Mandate files manually. They act like it's all brand new stuff. Most of it is, but I think there is some stuff that's duplicated from the original, so I still think they've put it in these files, but they don't show that they're not linking to them, and they're not using anything from Perseus or from Extraction Point. I don't think they are. Let's check that out, actually. No, they are. F.E.A.R, XP. Okay, that's what they're doing. F.E.A.R M, XP, A. Okay. XP, XP. Okay, I got it. That's what they're doing. Alright, so what they're doing is they're actually utilizing most of all of Extraction Point's files, and then they have a singular file because it's XP2, so that means it's Perseus Mandate. They have a singular file here, which is that correct? Got the wrong folder up. XP, no, that's wrong. Okay, well, according to, did I open the right thing? Let me just verify it. Perseus Mandate. Yeah, they're just utilizing what was in Extraction Point, I suppose, with anything else that they may have manually added in. Because this one here represents the unique subtitle mod. This is the flashlight mod, and they put PM extra, the modder did, instead of XP. He did PM like they should have done for Perseus Mandate. And then game at the bottom. And then this will get you the subtitles and the flashlight. That's all you need to do with that. Save. And you're good. So let me get back to regular F.E.A.R. Okay. So let me see. We'll take a look at it. Okay, so once you are done adjusting this file, save your file and then right click, select properties and mark this as a read-only file. So right click it, properties, check it as a read-only at the bottom. This way you won't accidentally change anything, as well as keeping the game from changing or erasing anything. Because it is highly likely that the game would try to remove these mod things that we put in manually, because it's not expecting them to be there, and then your mod's not going to work. If you need to make changes later to this file, for example, you want to add another mod or take a mod away that uses a .arc00, just uncheck this read-only box so it's not checked anymore, and then you can edit the file. But it's recommended to do this with this file and with the settings.cfg that we messed with in the config and tech video, just when you're completely done with modifying your settings. That way nothing gets screwed up. You can still delete the file, but you can't make changes yourself, and the game can't just do it behind your back and not tell you. I'm going to take a sip of drink, because it's highly likely in a lot of situations the game does that. Not this game, but I've had like Unreal Engine 3 or 4, Unreal Engine 3, Unreal Engine 4 games that I've edited in a similar manner, and I didn't read only the file, like an INI file for the game engine, to adjust settings, turn things on and off, like this, whatever, add things. And as soon as you run the game once, it erases it. The game erases it like it was never there. And the only way to keep it from doing that is to mark it as a read-only file. And what else do we got here? Okay, this is just worth mentioning mod. There is an HD texture mod, and I will put this link in the description as well. I will not be using this mod, but wanted to include it here anyways. There is an HD texture mod available for F.E.A.R 1, yes, there is an HD texture mod available for F.E.A.R 1. It is for the main base game as well as the Extraction Point DLC. The mod isn't designed for the Pegasus Mandate DLC though. It upscales textures and replaces some textures completely. The problem with this mod is it isn't stable to use, which isn't completely the mod or the modder's fault. This is an old game running on an old game engine. I've used this mod before, back when it was version 1.1, I think, and had my own issues with it. Reading the comments from other users since even version 2.0.2 has come out, they are still mentioning having a bunch of issues. Issues such as error messages or access violations, missing textures, or black textures like on floors or walls. Alt-tabbing and saving and loading can fix or cause issues. I might try it again on my own time later, as the textures themselves look great. Since I'm recording this for YouTube and all, I don't want to deal with texture or model problems. Also, since the mod doesn't work for Perseus Mandate, I would rather the main game and the 2 DLCs to all look the same, either original graphics or updated graphics, and not a mix. So it's there if you want to mess with it. Seems like the modder is kind of done updating it. By all means, let me know if you're using version 2.0.2 and not having issues. So thank you for your interest in all the information I've compiled for F.E.A.R 1. I hope it will be useful to someone out there. Enjoy the playthrough, as we'll get into the gameplay segment in the next video. See you there. Bye.